What's up, everyone? Jen and I are here with the LG C4. Really excited. I can actually see you over this TV.
I know, how crazy. Why did we go with the 77-inch? We always do the big ones.
Well, they have an 83-inch, but to be honest, the price difference was ridiculous. So the 77-inch seems to hit a perfect price point, size, all that. So we're gonna see by unboxing it if it lives up to the hype, if it's the C-Series that we've always loved, and then give you guys buying advice at the end to see if you should buy this one or if you should go bigger, smaller, different brand, all that stuff.
Okay, well, yeah, let's check it out then.
Let's do it. Boom, you want the scissors to cut those guys?
Okay, today we're gonna teach Brandon how to hand sharp objects to people. No. Point down.
This?
No, point down. There we go,
Okay.
Nice handoff, thank you.
Well, I'll be here with this
more
one
you know.
just in case you need us, okay?
Get out of here.
All right, Jen, so this is the C4, not to be confused with the B4 or the G4. So the B4 is a little bit lower than this, the G4 is better than this. All of them have like different processors. The MLA technology, which is in the G4, is not in this C4, but honestly, the C-Series OLED TVs from LG have been fantastic for years, and I really like them. Let's get this open.
Okay. Got our quick start guide, your bag of goodies with the remote.
Yeah, gotta have a remote for the TV.
Oh yeah. And then looks like this is just the cover plates.
Yeah, this is actually the first time we've had one of the new stands for the C-Series, because we always had the traditional one with the 83-inch and the older one. So it'll be interesting to see the difference. Not a huge,
I can't wait to see that
So
stand.
exciting, so
It's
exciting.
Like, whew.
I mean, we're real TV nerds if we're
Yeah.
excited about the stand, I know.
I don't know how I sleep at night.
Taking the top off?
Yeah, I guess.
No, we gotta be careful. This thing is very fragile.
Is
So
this the
thin.
one that fell?
No, it's not that was a Sony, but
Okay.
this is basically the same setup as that Sony that fell.
Yeah.
This one has a little heavier stand back, but look how thin it is.
It's super thin.
That's the one thing that got me with this. We'll show you guys in a bit, but the TV is so thin, it's so beautiful. Like, if you really care what your TV looks like, it's an awesome one. But we gotta get it unboxed first. All right, so we put the two pieces of styrofoam down from the sides because we need to lay the TV flat. You need a flat surface. We don't have a giant table like they recommend. So this is how we normally do it. Just be careful with the screen, of course. Let's, the stand's back here. You wanna pull that out? I'll hold the TV.
Stand out of here so it's
Yeah.
not in the way.
And then, yeah, it's not really top heavy. I mean, these boxes are a little bit wider than some of the other OLEDs, so it's not gonna fall over like the A80J. Okay, let's pick it up. You wanna go?
Yep, I guess.
You wanna go? Huh? It's not too bad. Very light.
Not at all.
We'll lay it down flat. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
that's one of the latest ones we've had in a
Yeah,
while.
it is very light. It's awesome, and still, it's a giant TV for most people. All right, so let's unsheath. Maybe we should have done this before we laid it down. Ooh, that looks awesome on the back. I don't think I've ever seen, I've never seen this one. That looks really cool. I'm gonna lift it up and kind of, I did not do this can you slide yours down with me so that we can get it off? It's like, oh, there it goes. It's got plastic on the front, so we're touching the screen. Professionals at this, man, I tell you. That's pretty dope. I mean, how often do you look at the back of the TV? But still, looks pretty awesome.
I don't often, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's get the stand on.
Okay.
The stand is much smaller than it used to be. It's not heavy, is it? This stand
Is it
used to
heavy?
be like 30 pounds.
Yeah, is it heavy?
It was heavier than you, Caesar.
Heavier than you?
And you're not even a fat pug. You're a pretty in-shape pug. It looks like this piece just goes in here, like that.
Okay.
And then we put some screws in the front there, some screws in the back, just like a P. Diddy party. And we just go for it. And then we just slam it on the back side of the TV. Sound fun, right, Caesar?
Sure.
All right, let's do it here.
Okay.
All right, and then you just go like that. And
Give me that screwdriver,
put those screws in there. Sure.
please.
Your time to have some fun. Caesar and I'll just come over here and play. What's up, Caesar? What's up? Stay.
Okay.
Time to stand this up and see what it's made of. Literally.
1, 2, 3.
No, it's so light.
Yeah.
Doing. All right, get these out of here. I see a big sheet of plastic to pull. Got to get a stand here. Yeah. I'm excited to put this TV in the living room. Awesome. Oof, look at that, perfection. All right, Jen, gonna put it up there. It's not gonna be a 98-inch, 200-pound TV lift here. It's gonna be an easy one.
Hopefully.
You're still pulling the pants up though, huh?
Yeah, well, no crack.
Crack kills. Let's go. You ready to do it?
1, 2, 3, up.
It's like not even a challenge.
Yeah.
I still can't get over how cool the TV looks on the back, front. It's a beautiful TV. I don't think anyone's gonna get this TV and be like, hey, I'm taking it back because it's ugly and doesn't look like it's gonna be good. Like, for the most part, anyone that buys this can be happy. A few differences, obviously, between this and other TVs, but from the front, we gotta take the plastic off because it has great anti-reflective coating. And on the back, we already talked about how cool the finish looks if you're ever gonna see that. This looks like about a 300 by 200 millimeter VISA pattern. Most of the mounts that have the vertical brackets will be compatible with that. It'll work, get the job done. And then they have all the HDMIs and stuff on the side here, Jen. Looks like 3 USB ports. I don't know who's gonna need 3 USB ports, but they got it. The 4 HDMIs come in handy, all of them 4K at 120. Really awesome. Looks like, number 2 is the eARC port to connect to your soundbar or stereo system. Then a traditional Ethernet port. You got an optical audio output. And then you got the cable antenna, IR blaster, all that. So pretty straightforward. It's nice and streamlined on the side. So more importantly, we need to pull the plastic off the front so we can turn the TV on and show all the gadgets and the who's it, what's it's and all that stuff.
Yes, the who's it, what's it's are my favorite part.
Gotta do it. Let's get to the front.
Yeah. Smells like double bubble.
Smells like something. Wow, professionalism at its finest.
Here's the cover plate for the back.
Yeah.
You want that?
You have the remote, you do that. I'm gonna put this on and show them what this piece does. Come on, Eric.
Show them your piece, Brandon.
So look at this. Looks here, put this in there. I mean, we gotta get this out. I would say we put that under. So if you're gonna use the stand, or if you're not gonna use the stand, that's not it. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that looks. Kind of does cord management. I don't know, looks pretty good. Let's see what Jen's got up front.
Okay, and here we have the remote. This is the magic remote. It's really fun for driving your dog crazy because it's got this really great cursor and directional pad right here. But if you want the more traditional way, you can use the arrows. We've got numbers if you want to dial a friend with your numbers. And of course, we've got all the shortcut buttons down at the bottom when you want to really get to your apps quickly. So let's go ahead and fire it up.
All right. We're here on the home screen with the magic remote, which, it's cool. I don't really like it though, so I'm gonna get rid of that and show you guys all kinds of neat stuff that's on this home screen that's very busy, as you can see. Tons of apps. We utilize YouTube TV and Disney Plus. We're gonna show you some of that. And of course, YouTube. Above that, you have some of these cool quick cards that can get you into different parts of the operating system. So there's some sports, some home hub, music, all that stuff. And besides the apps that you might use, you also have the LG channels, which we've turned on and used before. I do like that you can get some free stuff just by having one of these expensive TVs, because it is expensive. Fantastic TV, but expensive. So you can watch all kinds of stuff for free. I think that is a big bonus. And another cool feature of the operating system is that it does have some art mode kind of stuff, some screensaver things that if your TV's left on for a bit, it's kind of cool to have that. Now, I wouldn't want to leave an OLED TV on that long, but it does sometimes happen, so it's kind of neat just to have this on as opposed to a black rectangle. And then interesting enough, when I just left the TV on, it actually went to some advertising, which is, I think, the first time I've ever seen that on a TV, where instead of a screensaver, it went to some advertising. So luckily we were able to find out where to turn that off inside of the actual general menu into the system, and we turned it off, and some other things that just kind of seem a little bit too much with regards to the privacy or advertising. Like I don't really want advertising, so got rid of that. And then you just get the screensaver when the TV's idling. So with that said, pretty straightforward. Again, a little bit busy, but we need to move on and show some actual content on here. So we're gonna pop into YouTube TV and see how sports and regular TV look. So now we have some sports, general TV that you'd be watching here. And there's a lot of good and a couple things that I'm a little curious about. But first, the TV was a little bit underwhelming just on, the filmmaker or cinema mode. We ended up popping it into the ISF bright mode and turning up the peak luminance to high. Of course, that's what you'd want to do. And then changed the motion a little bit from the typical 0 and 10 that it has the motion settings on to about 4 and 4. And it has a nice clean picture. It upscales well. Everything looks fairly good now, nice and bright. I do think LG has come a long way in upscaling and just looking good for regular TV content over the last few years. Back when we had the C10, it was good, but it's just that much better and closer to like what we'd say is, the Sony quality for upscaling and processing. So I'm pretty happy with it when you show, the lower resolution content, and it's always been really nice when, show HDR, and we'll get to that in a second. So there's only two downsides that I've noticed. One being the sound quality is not great. And that's something I knew because we have a C1 or C2 monitor in the office, and when we try to listen to our YouTube videos on it, it just doesn't sound that great. So it's hard to tell if it's, my YouTube videos sound good or not. And the same thing when I'm watching sports and listening to these guys talk about sports, not great sound. It's kind of tinny, and I just would recommend getting a sound bar or some sort of sound system. And if you're spending a couple $1,000s on a TV, it's probably something that you're considering anyways. And the other thing is that when I'm sitting off angle a little bit, I'm almost straight on, to be honest. The right side of the TV looks green and the left side looks pink when it's on a white screen. Now, it's not like a super noticeable thing, and you're not gonna always be watching a white screen from off angle, but I don't know why it's like that. It is a little bit weird. When you're sitting straight on, it doesn't look really like that, but if you switch sides, the color changes. So depending on where you are, we always talk about viewing angles and the testing, and something we can come back to, but I thought we were over that with regards to OLED TVs. But overall, when watching sports or regular TV, I think this is a fantastic TV. I like it. Big fan of LG C-Series, so we should check out some HDR movies to see how the C4 handles that. Okay, so now we're in HDR movies, and overall, I'm really happy with HDR movies on OLED TVs, and the C4 looks really good as well for the most part. We did move it to cinema home, and nice max brightness, of course, peak luminance, all that. Kept the dynamic contrast off, but there was this new thing, expression enhancer. I've never seen this before. It looks like a tone mapping option. So now we're able to click on, brightness preferred or detail preferred again. So get a little bit more out of the tone mapping from HDR. We'll leave it at detail preferred, but overall, again, it looks really sharp when watching HDR movies, which is what you'd expect from an expensive OLED TV with a high resolution input on it. So I like that. Brightness wise, it is pretty good for a mid-tier or, more of the high-end tier OLED TV. I think if you're getting this for watching HDR movies, you're gonna be more than happy, especially with that, individual pixel level control. So you get perfect contrast where you can see these really bright highlights right next to really good black shadow detail areas. So awesome for watching movies. The only downside is it's not the brightest OLED in the world. Obviously, there are some brighter options, but I think at this price point, it's, really nice TV. But before we give you the full buying advice, we have some tests to run and talk about gaming, so let's get into that right now. So first up is the reflection handling, and this LG C4, like all OLED TVs for the most part, handle reflections fantastically. When we have the TV off, I can barely see myself in the reflections. Obviously, if you have lights on in the room like we have here, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So big windows in your room may cause a little bit of an issue, but that's with the TV off. But when you turn the TV on and you're watching content, that doesn't always really play. You can see in some bright areas here that light disappears. In a dark area, it's there. So again, this is a really good anti-reflective coating on this LG C4, and so for the most part, windows are not going to be an issue unless you have giant windows opposing the TV. And then the dirty screen effect test is something to see, how good the uniformity of the panel is. And OLEDs are typically pretty good, and this C4 looks really nice. So there's not a lot of banding or, dirty screen effect on this clean OLED. So I think you'd love to have this in your house and there'd be no issues. And lastly, because there's no blooming on this TV, obviously it's an OLED TV, all we have left is off angle. And off angle viewing of OLED TVs looks fantastic. So if you're watching a sporting event or something with a bunch of people in your house, everyone's gonna get the same look no matter where they're sitting in the room. So on to gaming. Traditionally, LG TVs are fantastic for gaming. The C4 is really no exception. It has 4 HDMI ports that are all 4K 120, and that's been the standard on LG TVs for quite a while. You do have one of them that is the ARC port, so you can connect that to a soundbar as well. But you know, plenty of gaming opportunities. I think this is the first year that this panel is up to 144 hertz, and last year I think it was 120, so that's even cooler if you're a PC gamer. But more or less, one of the best gaming TVs ever made, and really the only downside is that it's just not quite as bright as it is in other modes. In the other modes, we're happy that it's 1000 nits on smaller windows, which is, you know, really good for an OLED TV. But in this game mode, it's not quite as bright. Some of the features are disabled. You can't really do much. So you just play and have fun and enjoy the really fast response time and low input lag and all that with regards to an OLED TV. So awesome for me. I don't think I have any complaints with that. If you want a better gaming experience, brighter, whatever, you could get the G4 because that's even brighter and doesn't have quite the limitations. But overall, gaming is awesome. I like it. And it's time to move on to the general buying advice. So if I'm buying an LG C4, I'm probably considering other OLED options, but should you be? I mean, there are a lot of similar sized LED TV or mini LED TVs that are a lot less expensive, like the Hisense U8N. Absolutely love that TV. 75-inch is like half the price of this C4. So it's something to think about. It doesn't have individual pixel level control, but it's brighter and it's pretty awesome. So there's options like that in similar sizes. Of course, if you go larger QLED or mini LED, you still probably are saving some money in some instances. So, you know, it's still a really nice TV though, and I think the C4 is awesome, and it's great for an OLED because if you compare it to the Bravia 8, which is another OLED TV, that's gonna be more expensive. Maybe it has a little bit better processing. We haven't seen that in the house, but I've seen it a couple times. You know, traditionally, Sony OLED TVs, awesome. And on the other side, you have the Samsung S90D, which is a mid-tier OLED as well. That's QD OLED, a little bit more color volume, you know, has its benefits, but more or less, I would say right on par with the C4. So if you like Samsung, you get that. If you like LG, I'd recommend the C4. Both of them are similarly priced as well, unlike the Bravia 8, which is more expensive. So 3 great OLEDs, but I'm really happy with the C4 because I'm consistently happy with the C-Series OLEDs that LG provides. So I'm definitely a big fan of this TV. And if you want to take a step up, you can consider the G4, which is even brighter and even better and has a better look when you wall mount it, especially in the 77, 83-inch size. MLA technology, nearly twice as bright on the smaller specular highlights. So that's a big benefit, but of course it's much more expensive. But yeah, overall, a big fan of the LG C4. The upscaling has improved over the years. It's an OLED, which I love, of course. It's very bright, brighter than last year, brighter than the year before. A lot of great things to love about the C4. But yeah, I mean, the Hisense U8N, half the price, 75-inch. I love that. You could check out the review we put up. And also check out the quiz because we did the TV quiz. You can go through that and kind of pick your guys's, you know, room situations and what you're gonna do with the TV, and it'll pop out a couple TVs. So check that in the links in the description, as well as all the different TVs, and subscribe to the channel, hit the like button and all that. We'll see you guys in the next video.